Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. Darren Criss and Evan Rachel Wood have stepped into the iconic roles of Seymour and Audrey in the smash hit revival of Little Shop of Horrors, and I caught up with Darren here at the Westside Theatre. I am thrilled to be sitting with you, my friend, on the set.
I'm thrilled to be with you, man. This is great.
Welcome back. How does it feel?
It feels great. You know, this is my off-Broadway debut.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fun. I mean, it's Little Shop. We were just talking before we started rolling about the other shows that I've gone into. It's How to Succeed, Hedwig. These are musicals at least. We're not going to talk about American Buffalo and this. But all, well, if we put American Buffalo in there, all four of those are beloved shows that have the fan bases that you don't have to figure out if it works or not. Yeah. We're not sitting here going, oh man, I don't know if people are going to like this show with this doo-wop music and this man-eating plant. Like this is, we're good. Tried
and true.
So I've definitely hedged my bets as far as what I've been involved in because I'm doing stuff that I and audiences already love. So I'm, you know, there's a head start on being here. You don't have to scratch your head and think, like it's great. And it was great before I got here and it'll be great after I leave. So to just be a part of the already well-oiled machine of something as great as Little Shop. It's just like, it's the best train to hop on, you know?
Okay, I was talking to all the Seymours and they said they're like, last thing they do is get fitted for the glasses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so remember your fitting day for your glasses?
I am, so I wear glasses normally, so I'm used to that. What's weird, and this is a little behind the scenes trivia here, his mic is in there. And so anytime I'm sweating my ass off, I want to take off my glasses, but then I'm like detaching this entire apparatus. So yeah, I don't know if that means other than that some fun backstage stuff. And it's also getting foggy because, you know, Seymour runs around quite a bit. But yeah, it's wild that, you know, that there's like a uniform. I'm Seymour number 9.
Are you really?
Yeah, and I know every single Seymour before me, at least on this production, are friends of mine. So I was like, I'm starting to feel left out. So I had to get in here and put on the glasses.
Okay, first night on stage, here you are, looking out here, doing Seymour. What was it like?
You know, man, it's, you know, first nights you just seeing your family and friends. And these are people that also know Little Shop and know that I love Little Shop. So it's special to get to share that with them. I mean, look, we love this show. And so getting to just, you know, tip your hat to it. I can go off for hours and hours and hours about Howard Ashman.
I want you to.
Howard is like my personal Jesus. He's been somebody, anytime, my whole life, people ask me, who could you, if you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, I always say, Howard Ashman, no question. On a creative level, on just everything that he's done, he's just like my North Star in everything that I do. As a songwriter, as an actor, as a writer, everything is I'd never met him and I don't know him personally in any way other than he's left this body of work that I kind of use as this North Star with how I would do things. I mean, I pretend that he's in the audience every night just so I can, in my mind, go, God, would Howard approve of this? And there are things I'll do where I go, Howard wouldn't have liked that. I don't know this for a fact, but I've felt connected to this guy my whole life because of the way this show contributed to what would be a huge benchmark for my creative understanding of musicals, which was the Disney Renaissance, which this show is proto Disney Renaissance. Katzenberg saw this and said, help us out with Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, rest is history. So, I mean, there are things in this show that you hear Somewhere That's Green, you go, oh, Part of Your World. You hear Mushnik and Son, Poor Unfortunate Sort. You hear all these songs that are versions of what would become these standards in at least millennials' understanding of music. Actually, I shouldn't even delegate it just to millennials, but several generations worth of experiencing musical storytelling were those films. So doing this for any audience, I'm always, you know, thinking of what Howard would think if he was in the audience. That's every performance. That's in my head because he's just such a hero of mine. Yeah. I could cry. He would have been 74 this year.
Yeah.
You know.
So I went to see that at the WPA first.
Oh wow.
I sat next to Cher.
Wow.
So that was the coolest thing before I moved to the Orpheum and everything else.
That's cool. Oh, that's right. It wasn't WPA. I keep saying it was at the Orpheum, but it started at WA.
That little teeny tiny theater.
I know, that, if I could go back in time.
Me too.
God damn it, that would have been cool. What a special thing. Dude, what was it like for you seeing the show without, like...
I had no preconception of what it was. We heard this was this great new musical based...
Off-Broadway, downtown.
Off-Broadway, yeah.
Wow. I was just saying as a comparison, because it's 87, 86 or something like that. Phantom would have opened.
Yeah.
So just to compare, like Uptown, multi-million-dollar musical, huge orchestra, huge set, huge costumes, huge, 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 huge. And then if you were a theater goer, you would have seen that, and then you would have seen Little Shop, trying to tell people, you got to see this thing downtown. Like trying to explain this show before it was famous.
Yeah.
It would be a weird sell. Like it's a Roger Corman movie from the 50s, but there's doo-wop music, but there's like a plant pup. I can't really. You're gonna have to come see it. Now that it's famous, it's easy. But at that point, I can't imagine trying to tell somebody, come see this weird thing downtown. Oh, that's sitting next to Cher too.
Yeah, totally. That was cool. That's how it's done.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, singing this iconic score. Like, tell me about that first night. Like, the audience is here, and then you get to do it. Was the show like 3 hours long?
No,
with the applause?
no. I mean, listen, Howard Ashman did a really good job of economy in this show. There's not a lick of fat on this libretto.
Yeah.
It moves, it is specific, it is concise, it is smart, and it doesn't feel fast. It's just economic. And so it moves fast, but I will say, these songs are so famous that, especially for musical theater people, that it's fun to do them in context to the story. Suddenly Seymour, God knows you and I have probably sang that around a piano hundreds of times in our life, and you're just kind of wailing these fun lyrics and these fun notes. But when you drop it in the context of storytelling, it has a very different meaning.
Yeah.
And it's really fun doing that and acting the story because, and everybody here has heard me say this 1,000 times today, I'll say it brand new for you. But I thoroughly believe that pathos is a dish best served fun, you know? So when you have these desperate characters coming from a desperate place, really looking for each other, and yes, there's a plant, and there's puppetry, and there's doo-wop, but, you know, we're on Skid Row, you have these two broken people singing about how much they are trying to support each other, or one person who's letting herself be vulnerable to somebody supporting her for the first time in her life. That's some heavy shit, man, and that's a beautiful thing to perform in a song as familiar as Suddenly Seymour, but when you're watching the show, you're in the second act and you've been following these people this whole show, suddenly it hits a little differently than it would at a piano bar.
Yeah, totally.
So, and that goes for a lot of the songs, you know, Somewhere That's Green, and even some of the more fun charm numbers. There's a real pathos to these songs that live a much larger life than just being catchy.
Yeah.
Howard was very good about putting a lot of heart and a lot of soul into these very witty musical moments, but it wasn't without a significant degree of dramaturgy. So.
Incredible lyricist.
Incredible.
And then Alan Menken.
Yeah,
throw him into the mix.
Some two-bit Johnny,
Yeah,
Alan
totally.
Menken. No one's heard of him. Yeah.
Is that amazing?
Yeah, man. I mean, Alan's been, I'm giving all the credit to Howard simply by way of this being, you know, he sort of architected this at WPA and everything. But Alan, you know, I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's the perfect sort of lightning in a bottle moment, you know. It's like, I think of the Beatles. It's just, I think of how these four guys, just right place, right time, right background to make what they did. You have Howard's sort of surgical precision brain with drama and Alan's immense aptitude for accessible, popular music to be used in a musical narrative that's of such a specific skill. Yeah. And also his lyricism and everything. I mean, just the combination of those two is just like, I thank God that they met at like a BMI workshop or something like that. But that, yeah, I mean, he's gone on to do several great things. And Alan also, I have a great Alan Menken story if you have a second.
Yeah, sure.
So in college, I would play Disney covers all the time at like bars and like restaurants and stuff. And those were like big tip makers because at the time, you know, I'm playing like acoustic covers of whatever, and I would sneak them in as this kind of funny, you know, people ears would perk up because it was silly that I was doing this. They wouldn't expect to hear like an acoustic like bossa nova cover of, you know, Part of Your World. And that would usually, you know, get me the most tips. When I was a senior at the University of Michigan, Alan's daughter, Nora, was a freshman. So Alan came to the brunch that I was playing at a restaurant, and he famously gave me a $100 tip in my thing. I wish I kept that $100 tip. I didn't. I quickly spent it on beer, which I don't regret. But I did get to tell him later that that's what I used it on, and eventually, after we would become friends. Chase your heroes, man. That's what I always say. Chase them hard. I got to do the Hollywood Bowl concert of The Little Mermaid, and when I was playing guitar up there, playing one of his songs, he was waving a $100 bill in the wings on the right. And
did you run for it?
What's up?
Did you run for that $100 bill?
I think he's like, I'm keeping this one. Yeah.
I gave you one already.
Yeah, exactly.
Sharing the stage with Evan.
Evan is a fantastic actress, a huge theater background from, in Raleigh, in Raleigh, North Carolina theater.
Yeah.
And she's been a friend that has said yes to me far more times than I deserve. So her doing this to me is a total coup. Yeah. And I think me being in it is whatever. Her doing this is chef's kiss. She's outstanding, and I'm lucky to have a fellow performer like her on stage, who is also somebody I really just love and love hanging out with. So it's a family affair, this Little Shop of Horrors.
This is your stage for a while.
Until the next one comes along.
That is the best.
Yes.
Good over here.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.